You've heard me speak before in regards to bad programming, how we've all been programmed wrong. And I expressed briefly that, there were some things that I was just not programmed properly to believe. And some family members might take exception to it, but it's the truth. And I'm not blaming the people who did it because they were programmed wrong. So I'm not blaming them. See, from generation to generation, bad information goes down and goes down and goes down. And by the time it gets to your parents and to you, it is thought of as the truth when actually it's a lie. I want to talk about priorities today. People talk about how they're on their game and I'm working my game and I'm doing the work thing, I'm doing the school thing, I'm doing, as far as trying to pull themselves together. And that's fine. That's good. But the thing is, a lot of these people don't have any goals either. 10 years later, 20 years later, they're doing the same thing, posting the same thing on live, telling the same story when they're at church or at family functions. I'm on my game. The thing is, what you have to do is, when it's time for you to decide where you want to be, you have to give it a lot of energy. You do. First of all, if you're not journaling where you want to go, if you're not listing your goals, if you're not setting a timetable to meet those goals, more than likely you're going to allow a whole lot of things in life derail you because you're not focused. You don't have a roadmap set up. And I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you have this goal that you want to do this one thing, and you're telling people you want to do this one thing, that's fine. But if you're not actively pursuing it and you don't have a goal, guess what? 5 years from now, you're going to be saying the same thing. 10 years from now, 15 years from now. But the only difference between now and then is going to be you're going to have a wife or a husband. You're going to have children to take care of. You're going to have more responsibilities. So that's going to be less time that you're going to have to be able to pursue something that you can take care of right now before all those things come into play. And it's hard sometimes. And I tell a lot of young people all the time, while you have the space and time to do it, do as much as you can right now. And don't worry about what anybody thinks. Just stay focused and do what you need to do before the responsibilities come along. Because when the responsibilities come along, you got to take care of them. You got to take care of them the best way you can. And if you're not at the place where you want to be in your career or in your life when those responsibilities come along, you're not going to be able to take care of those responsibilities the right way. And you're going to start feeling a certain type of way. And if you start feeling a certain type of way, you're going to start thinking a certain type of way. And you're going to start acting a certain type of way. And then everybody suffers. I see a lot of young people now. I was talking to somebody earlier, and he was having trouble with his teenage son. Hormones raging in his son. Trying to tell him to stay focused because he's slipping in school. I told him, I said, look, I've seen it, experienced in my own life. And you got somebody that, you know they're supposed to be trying to get their education and move on. You look at the news every day. You see how competitive it is out here for people with an education, let alone somebody who doesn't have one. And all they want to do is sift their way through life. The only thing I could tell this gentleman is like, you know what, I wish I had a magic answer, but the only thing I could tell you is that he's at that age where he's just going to have to learn the hard way if he doesn't want to listen to anybody. And that's the truth. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you see somebody heading in the wrong direction and you trying to talk to them, and they're determined to go in that direction, sometimes the best thing for you to do is to keep your mouth shut, say your prayers, and let them suffer the consequences. And I know that you love them, and I know you don't want that to happen, but that's a part of life. Because the truth is, you're not going to always be around to protect them. You're not. There's going to be a day and time when you're not going to be around physically, or you're not going to be around, for whatever reason. You're not going to be around. And this is the time, when the young adults will have to learn how to do things for themselves. You can't cover them all the time. And for those of you think that that's the only way to show true love to your child is sitting up there covering them every time they get into trouble, there's something wrong with you. I highly suggest you see a therapist. I highly suggest you see a therapist, because that's not preparing them for life at all. At all. What's going to happen when you're gone? It's like us as a society, we went from full family unit, everything in order, everything in place, to everybody willy-nilly, folks all over the place, don't know where they came from, and no plans. What is the problem with having plans? What is the problem with discussing plans? What is the problem with making plans? I was talking to somebody the other day about life insurance policies. He wanted to change the subject. I don't want to talk about life insurance policies and deaths. You know what they told me right there? I said to myself, your grown ass ain't got no policy and you don't care. And you got children and grandchildren. So if something happened to you today or tomorrow, they're going to be one of them people putting up a GoFundMe page because you ain't got nothing to leave them. How are you going to be grown and don't want to talk about a life insurance policy? I mean, it's something as simple as that. You know, you took the conversation to another level. I wasn't talking about nobody dying no time soon or anything like that. Simple things. And when I was coming up, I saw people that could barely rub two sticks together, but they paid that insurance man when he came around every single month because they knew what the life cycle was about. They understood the life cycle. They understood that at certain ages, you do certain things and you live a certain way, and that your body goes through all these changes, then that eventually you're going to die. But I don't know what's going through the minds of people, and I'm not talking about young people, I'm talking about people my age, still don't want to think about what's going to happen to them if they leave this earth. I don't get it. But if you sit down and ask them about what ball team is going to be playing, they could tell you all the stats, all the players, what schools they went to. They could tell you the coach's history, what team he coached before, who the owners are, and what other corporations. They could tell you every single little thing. But they can't tell you whether or not they have a life insurance policy. Ain't interested in discussing it. They're quick to talk about somebody else's life, but don't want to focus on their own. And let's not even talk about relationships. Oh boy, they'll talk all day about, how many guys they went out with last week and what this one does and what that one does and what this one does and what that one does. And the guys talk about this woman over here and this woman over there and give all the details. Excited about the conversation. People my age now, excited about romance and sex and relationships, but don't want to talk about financial security. Don't want to talk about taking care of the future. Don't want to talk about it. So this is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to sit down and I want you to tell me in the comments why you think that is. Really, I want you to tell me why you think that is. And does it make sense to you? Does it really? I mean, come on. We really got to get it together. Why is sex and relationships more important than securing your own future for your family? Why is that more important? Tell me what you think in the comments. With that, I'll leave you peace and love.